wonderful instrument. You know, most people walk by this in our gallery and they think that it's a new piano, but it was actually built in 1926. And in this program, we're going to take you through the process of getting an old, tired piano and restoring it and rebuilding it and getting it to the point that it can't be told from new. Well, here we have a perfect example of a piano that's about to be refinished. So here's some of the things that you see in a piano of that age. Most obvious and wonderful is the fact that these are real ivory key covers. Normally, because ivory is a living material like wood, it chips and cracks and breaks up. The most obvious thing people notice in old pianos is the deterioration of the varnish finish. And where the top was folded back on this piano, you can actually see the varnish that was protected from the elements and the varnish that deteriorated over time. All of this varnish is going to have to come off of this piano. It's even more extreme on the side. Primary reason that it needs to be rebuilt is it'll no longer hold a tune. These tuning pins are anchored into a piece of wood called a pin block. That piece of wood has dried out and these pins are no longer being tightly held by the wood, so the pin plank's got to be replaced. Well, to get to the pin plank, we're going to have to take out this cast iron plate. While the plate's out of the piano, we're also going to refinish the soundboard. We'll simply strip off the old varnish and refinish it while we have the plate out of the piano. In the rebuilding of the piano, there's no more discussion about any single component than there is about the pin block. And its function is to hold the tuning pins in place. After we replace it with this new pin block material, when it's properly drilled, that means that that's the piano that is going to last for the rest of the next owner's life without ever developing those tuning problems again. This is a spruce shim. It's a triangular piece of wood. And in the event that this soundboard had had cracks in it, we would have dried out the soundboard, caused the cracks to expand. Then we would have routed out the spot where the crack was and glued this shim into place. A shim that's properly done never results in an additional soundboard failure later on. The new pin block has been created, drilled, and fitted into the piano. The soundboard's been refinished. This is really the beginning, the first phase of the reassembly of the piano. So now you can see you've got this soundboard, the tone producing part of the piano, sort of sandwiched in between the plate. When we're rebuilding a piano, we want to restore everything that makes sense to restore and replace only the things that make sense to replace. But critical components like the plate and the soundboard and the rim and the keys are always restored. Well, we're back in the shop at the Steinway Piano Gallery. Let's go take a look at the piano and see how David's coming and stringing it. And now, how many coils did you put on it?
It receives 3 coils, 1 finish.
So you actually drive that in, you don't turn it in.
Yes.
Because turning the pin in that far would cause heat, and that would cause the hole to burnish and it wouldn't grip tightly?
Yes. And we have to apply tension evenly.
So that coil's nice and tight. Oh, I hear it cracking. Hear the pitch coming up a little bit. Are you listening for any specific pitch now? Or
No,
are you
we're just trying to bring it up.
just get tension on it, just so it's tight, okay? Tell us what you're going to do to this action, David, and why.
The bushings in the hammers have worn. The wood is old and brittle, as well as whippings inside the piano will also be replaced. Buckskin on the back checks will be replaced. There's 2 sets of bushings inside every key, balance rail, and underneath the front. Both of those will be replaced as well.
These hammers are just not falling back after someone plays a note and repeats. They're not coming back down evenly. Some are coming slow, some are coming fast. So if you were trying to play this piano, it just wouldn't repeat. These hammers don't look so old. Why are they a different color, David?
Someone replaced these hammers on original Steinway shanks and flanges, but they are not original Steinway hammers. This is the action with brand new parts on it, and we are about to begin the process of regulation.
What is the regulation process going to involve? What are your steps going to be in regulation?
Well, there's about 14 steps.
For each of the 88 keys?
There are about 11 screws between the whip and hammer and let-off buttons that you have to adjust on every key. Once the regulation process is done, it needs to be put back in the piano. It needs to be tuned a couple of times, and then at that point you begin the voicing process.
Okay, David, show us how this mysterious process of voicing hammers actually works.
What we'll do first is take a board and shape the hammer so that we get the same tone and even tone throughout the entire piano. At that point, we will take a needle and actually soften the hammers and achieve one tone throughout the piano.
The dampers are back in the piano, it's all strung, and David's just about ready to slide the action back into the piano. And now you're ready to do a couple of final tunings. So we've got it voiced, regulated, tuned, chipped. Now we just need to do the final voicing and regulation and final tuning in the home of the eventual owner.
Yes.
Can I try it out?
Try it out.
Let's see what we got. Well, now we're at the home of the new owner of this beautiful restored Steinway. So let's go in and take a look. We'll watch David as he's just finishing up this piano. So David, you're done with the voicing, you're done with the regulation, with the action done, now you're ready to do the final tuning of the piano. We had to go through that process about 8 to 10 times to get the stretch out of the strings and get this piano to the point that it was going to sound perfect and that it was going to hold a tune and be stable for a long time. Well, we'll let you finish up. Well, you can see how beautiful the finish turned out. And you can see how smooth and even the finish is, just like it was brand new. The ivory keys really wonderfully restored. This is all the original hardware. You can see the soundboard refinished, the plate refinished, regelded, all original brass hardware that we were able to salvage and polish the original casters. You can see the inside and the beauty of the wood in this Louis leg. We're finished with all the technical work on the piano. It's in its final home. The refinishing is done. The only thing left to do now is for Dennis to come and do some final buffing and polishing on the exterior case of the piano. Well, the piano's done. It's in its new home. It turned out just wonderfully. And Sherry, who's been so kind and gracious to let us come to her house to film the completion of the piano, would you play a little something for us?
Sure.
Thanks.